It's 2024 and social media marketing is still a big topic that comes up for small businesses and entrepreneurs. And with over 70% of small businesses using social media, is it even worth it? And can you create a social media strategy that will actually help you stand out? Hey, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of the She Can't Quit podcast. Today, I'm diving in all around social media and how you can actually stand out in 2024, even as a small business owner, and even when there are over 77% of businesses using social media today. So let me just back those numbers up really quick. This was in a Forbes study that looked at the numbers in 2023, and there are over 4.9 billion social media users every day, and they are expecting by the year 2027 for it to be up to 5.85 billion, which means people are using it. It's a tool that small businesses and brands should be using. Now, before you start sweating that you're not going to be able to stand out, there's a few key things that need to be looked for, but I'm going to be sharing with you the number one mistake that I've seen small brands and business owners do when it comes to their social media marketing over the years of working in my creative agency. And it's keeping them from the growth that they are craving and leaving sales on the table. So I'm going to share with you how to fix that as well. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about the trends that we're seeing in social media marketing in 2024. And if you are looking to create a social media strategy for this year, I did touch on these trends just a bit in what we're seeing. So I'll link a video down below in the show notes if you're listening over in the podcast, or in the description box if you're watching over on YouTube. Okay, so first let's talk a bit about why we look at trends and why they're so important. And no, let me just reassure you, this has nothing to do with dancing. I'm glad that those trends stayed in 2020 where they belong. When it comes to trends, really all they are is the data and the numbers backing up what consumers, what media consumers are liking, what they're loving and what they're not loving. So for marketing strategists like myself, these are the things that I love because I know exactly where I need to tweak things, or what I have a really good gut feeling of how to pivot this strategy or what to incorporate moving forward that aligns with the client's business that I'm working with. So I'm sure you're not going to be shocked, and this is what I did touch in the how to create a social media strategy in 2024 video, that short form video is here to stay. So let's take a little bit deeper dive of a look of why people are loving this and why it's a trend that we're going to continue to incorporate in these strategies. Let's just take an outside bird's eye view of this. It's 2024. The world is busy. Literally, the world is buzzing with so much movement physically. If you've never even looked into that, it's crazy that the world is literally buzzing because there's so much movement and so much life going on. So with that, people are busy on their day-to-day. Life has gotten busier in the day-to-day life. So with that being said, people's attention spans are extremely short. So short form video is their way to consume things at a fast pace and at a very high volume. The next trend that we're seeing is that people are craving genuine connection. And this is a trend that I'm 100% behind when it comes to marketing this year. And it's because we're really highlighting the fact that we have a human nature. We crave connection. We crave genuine relationships. And so we're going to see that trickle into our marketing because it's what our consumers are wanting. So that is a huge part that needs to be built into this year's strategy if you're wanting to stand out and really create the numbers that you're wanting to see, whether it's sales or brand growth or both. One thing that we need to remember is that the average everyday person is being advertised to in so many different ways, and literally all day long, from the text message that they're getting from their favorite boutique that they just dropped a new launch collection, to the email that just went through for your favorite course creator, or from the app notification from Target saying that this deal is going on for Circle members only. So it creates that kind of exclusivity, but at the same time too, your audience that you're talking to literally has kind of a scatterbrain because they're being advertised to all day long. So when it comes to this, it's really important to not only have that clarity in your marketing, but to really just make sure that you are talking to that one person because you're standing out amongst so much. But don't worry, I'm gonna get to some ways that we can do that. Okay, the next trend that we're seeing is that us as humans, as we're consuming content, are really craving different points of view. And I'm sure you've seen this in some of the short form content where people are using different kinds of languages. They're using different points of view of what they're looking at, whether it's a kind of fly on the wall eye view of looking into business owners. Maybe it's working alongside them. We're truly craving those experiences as media consumers to see what people are doing. And if we look at this, this is why reality TV is so popular and creates a really wide net of audience there. And it's because as humans, our human nature, we are curious. We're curious beings. So obviously our marketing is going to follow suit in that trend. The last trend that I want to point out is that consumers are becoming very selective when it comes to where they're investing their money. Now, we still have impulse buying, I believe, when it comes to e-commerce, but when it comes to service providers, we're really seeing the audience investing in people who not only do they know, like, and trust, but they're usually repeat investors with this person that they're investing in when it comes to services, or ideally a referral. So making sure that your language is really developed, really clear, and you know exactly who you're talking to is going to be key. Okay, so now that we kind of talked about the trends and what we're seeing, let's dive into a few ways that you can stand out amongst not only your competition, but all the noise in the world that we have going on when it comes to social media. So first, not going to be a shock because I talked about this when it came to what we're seeing in the trends, and that's creating different points of view for your audience to experience your brand. So when you're doing this, the most important tip I can give you is to make sure that your messaging is clear and very on brand. You don't want to be flipping back and forth throughout using different words, different taglines, different language, because they're going to feel like something is unaligned or something is amiss, and they're going to question and literally ask themselves, wait a minute, isn't this girl that does this or teaches this, or I thought she did this? And they're going to get confused. They're going to feel very untrusting, or they're going to start getting those kind of putting energy and power towards the nerves, because investors, like I said, they're becoming very selective and they're making sure that where they're putting their money really, really matters. So with this, you want to make sure that you're talking to the same person, but now creating and going aligned with those trends, you want to just take that messaging and show it from different points of view. Ultimately, you want to make them feel like you understand them, you get them. So you're really creating this content for one person in mind. And I know that that may be easier said than done. I've seen clients and just so many businesses do this where they're trying to cast a wide net. But honestly, the more specific you go with who you're talking to, the higher conversions you're going to see when it comes to your sales and your brand growth. So let me drop some examples because I'm an example person. If you are a service-based provider, a few different points of view that you can offer is day in the life short form content, taking them along the scenes with you from your point of view. Another point of view that you can do on the same kind of thing is setting up some B-roll and doing a voiceover of what it's like and giving them kind of a taste and an experience of what their work is going to look like being worked on, as if they were watching in the background. And another point of view that you can do with this exact same situation is creating some more emotional pull, talking to someone specifically. And this can be using B-roll, this can be using stock footage. Branded B-roll video is really powerful when you add some storytelling techniques behind it and sharing about either how a personal story of where you started and how your service connects to the person that you're trying to serve. Usually that's where we all get started. Okay, let's say that you're a photographer and you really were wanting, as you started, you found out that you wanted to create and showcase your brand being so unique, so specific, so creative, that you really wanted these photos to tell a story itself in the photos with different brand elements that were being shown and different pieces that literally, I think of this like an I Spy book, like 90s kid, I Spy book, where you're looking and seeing all these little details that if you took a second just to sit still and see, it would tell so much more. Like they say, a picture tells 1,000 words. So you as a brand photographer are creating this for other entrepreneurs and wanting to tell their story and share so many specific details that make them purely them and what makes them stand out in these photos. So sharing that story behind the scenes and piecing these B-roll footage together, or even some personal video footage, and kind of call it parallel viewing it with you. The pressure's taken off them to have to invest or fully step into being like, what if I did that? It just gives it just enough of a question and just enough curiosity. But also they're seeing your story. They're seeing you vulnerable. They're getting to know you. They feel like they're eventually, after they've consumed enough of that, and from viewing different points of view, they feel like they're talking and sitting with their best friend. They feel like they're really intimately getting to know you and you're becoming a girlfriend on the other side. So as you add these different pieces of content and different points of view that you're creating these pieces of content from, they create this really pretty picture together and it creates an experience. So changing this up, but keeping with the really aligned, really specific, talking to one person messaging is going to be a powerhouse move. Let's move into the second tip that I want to give you, and kind of feeds into the next. These are all going to work really well together and stack together to just create magic. But this is the type of language that you use. So you need to know exactly, as a small business owner, you need to know exactly what kind of language that you're going to use. You need to know exactly how your audience speaks every day, and ideally the inner dialogue that they're having. And I always call these the thoughts you're having every night when you lay your head down and try to go to sleep and your mind is racing, and it's usually what if thoughts, or I wonder if I could do this, or how am I going to do this, and just kind of that inner struggle, the inner dialogue that they're having. And the exact kind of language is what you're going to be using, because their brain is going to be subconsciously scanning and looking for that in the vast amount of media consumption that they're going through, the different pieces of content, and they're going to be looking exactly for that. It's going to catch their mind, and they're going to catalog that. Not only are they going to watch, if you place it strategically in the beginning, we all know about a good hook, they're going to get caught by your content and look at it. But if you use the right language, they're going to really feel that connection and be like, oh my gosh, this person's in my head. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you add some storytelling to it, wow, she's been there. She knows exactly where I've been. They feel that subconscious confidence, not only in watching you walk through your journey, but they're borrowing it from you through your content, literally, and saying, if she can do it, I can do it. They may not say it out loud, but your content is literally giving them emotion. So the language that you use is extremely powerful, and getting really, really concise and asking yourself those questions, mapping them out on a piece of paper of exactly what words they're using, phrases they're using, things they're not using, and being very aware of that when you're writing your copy and writing any kind of content, it's going to be key. Okay, moving on to the next tip. And this, like I said, like I shared with you in the beginning, is one of the number one biggest mistakes small business owners are making. I've seen this through the years that I've worked with clients through the creative agency, and honestly, it's holding them back from so much, which this was what I was seeing that pivoted this really needed change and pivot with the creative agency. If you have been following along with my agency over at the Fairy Tale Social, you know that last year I started really feeling this itch to restructure this. This was through working with so many different clients, amazing stories, but there was one key thing that they were missing. And while we were creating such great results for them, I knew that there was something missing, because I knew that we could do so much more. So once I sat through and dug through the data, looked at all the numbers we were seeing, I figured it out and created a secondary strategy that supports this. So this is some of the new changes that I'm bringing to the agency. We are getting ready to relaunch our website this next week. If you're on the wait list, you're getting a sneak peek of everything going on and the real story behind so much of it. And I'm so excited to see the impact that it brings. It's very different. From the beginning, when I created this agency, knew I wanted to do things differently. I have done things differently, even got slack for doing things differently, but the results that were created were just my favorite. They were amplifying so many important messages, highlighting so much hard work that were created and great services by business owners, small business owners, who were able to make a really great and big impact on social media. So if you're wanting to check any of that out, I'll link the agency down below and all the information for you to check out. If you're wanting to get on the waitlist and see more while we are getting ready to relaunch that, the waitlist is also going to be getting a first availability when it comes to services and possibly a few little gifts along the way. Okay, so along with the trends that we're seeing and really creating a strategy where you're going to stand out, people are really looking for that extreme brand identity. They need to be able to not only see and recognize you instantly when it comes to your brand design, which is usually the first step that people go to. But honestly, when you think about it, your brand strategy, which is knowing exactly who your person is, your taglines, knowing your mission, your vision, knowing what kind of people and what kind of client journey your literal client is going through every single step, every season. If you've heard me talk before, you know that I believe that marketing is seasonal and it changes, and we need to adapt and kind of let it flow naturally the way that the world does, the way that seasons do. So this is what we're going to see in the marketing change. And this is honestly one of the biggest pivots and biggest strategy points that I can give you as a strategist myself. Because when we have extreme brand identity and the audience is picking up on that, social media consumers are picking up on that, you're going to get extreme brand loyalty. Now, if we go back to one of the trends that I pointed out in the beginning, consumers are being selective. They're really wanting to make their money count. They're really wanting to trust and actually get results with the person that they're watching, with the person that they eventually do invest with. They want to trust that person. So they're going to be extremely sure. They're going to have probably a few more touch points than what they normally have in the beginning. Maybe it's emails, maybe it is a multitude of things, which I'm going to touch on in just a second for one of my little secrets that I love doing and how we're working a little bit different this year in the agency and offering services to clients. So where extreme brand identity is, comes extreme brand loyalty, which is something you need if you're going to get those very trusted, loyal followers. This kind of wraps back to the language that you're going to use. The messaging is super clear, knowing exactly who you're talking to, because while it's easy to try to talk to so many people, your messaging gets watered down. It ends up talking to absolutely no one. So when you're talking to that one person and knowing them so detailed and so intimately down to every level, where you literally, they feel as if you know their deep dark secrets. They know that you know the thoughts that they're having before they go to bed, the thoughts that are truly holding them back from just going after it. And so those are the things that you need to create your messaging around. And especially when it comes to your offers, once you have a really strong brand identity, really strong brand messaging that's supporting that, and clearly knowing who your business is, what it feels like, how people experience your brand on every single step as they're consuming your brand, then that's how you can create different positioning and really rich specific ideas when it comes to your services, your offers, and they feel very curated and very crafted, which really, in the words that I would put it, gives your client a luxury experience as they're working with you, as they're committing. And it makes it feel very trusted. It makes it feel very easy. It makes it feel very universally aligned, is the words that when I've helped clients with this, what they use in return is saying, I feel like the universe put your content, your business in front of me. It was exactly what I was looking for. I don't know how it happened, but I needed it. I needed my life. And as their marketing strategist, I'm going to say, this is the power of marketing strategy. This is what so many people are missing in their marketing strategy and why I think can make such a huge difference. Let me lead it into my last tip here. And before we get to the end of the episode, if you are a small business owner or brand who is wanting to take your marketing to the next level in 2024 and really creating an experience, if maybe you have your logo and you're a small business owner, you have your logo, you have your brand elements and whatnot, but are missing that strategy piece and really getting that clarity, if you're having trouble creating content, if you feel like your content is getting put out there, but nothing's really coming back, or you're attracting the wrong kind of audience, you're not getting who you want, then I would highly suggest reaching out to our creative agency, the Fairy Tale Social. I'll drop everything down below. Feel free to just fill out a form. We can chat, and that way we can go through and create a brand strategy for you and get down to the deep dive, even if you're obsessed with your logo, and we can work backwards to make sure everything feels really connected, even down to your services and how you're presenting your services. Because the number one thing that I am seeing, and that I really think as a business owner you can stand out at when it comes to your brand positioning and the way that people experience your brand, is they want it to feel binge worthy. Once they come into your world and they're like, she knows every one of my thoughts. I'm obsessed with this. I've gotten the freebie. So obviously if you're a new business owner or a veteran, you have some kind of marketing funnel. You have where people come in through any kind of your visibility content. They have seen your content. Maybe they're going to click the link in your bio. That's where you have a call to action with a freebie in there, your lead magnet. And then ideally it's going to get them on your CRM system. So you're going to have some emails that are sent to them, whether it's a nurture sequence you have set up, maybe it's just your weekly newsletter. They're going to experience you. And because consumers do have some binge behavior, you're kind of want to use that to your advantage. And this is where it really gets exciting and where creative strategy can really take marketing strategy and social media strategy to a whole new level, because you're going to want to understand who your audience is. Are they someone that's more playful? Is that aligned with your brand? Is your brand more playful? What is the energy that your brand honestly speaks through is what I develop in my brand strategies. And so I will look at this when it comes to my clients and look at their lead magnet or their freebie and honestly say, is not only is this a good offer that is leading into where we're wanting to put energy into right now and getting focus into, whether it's a certain service or a launch coming up soon, or whether it's just promoting that authority, going back to what phase are we in right now? Is it visibility strategy we're focusing on? Is it an authoritative feel? Is it conversions, sales? And so when we look at this, I look at it and say, okay, how does their specific audience, what kind of energy they need? What kind of offer do they need? And what kind of way do we need to wrap this? What is their problems that they're dealing with right now? What kind of language or what even kind of creativity when it comes to the design or the delivery? Is your person in your audience, do they love hearing more things? Are they maybe on the road and they're listening to a lot more podcasts? Are you going to be doing a 3-episode podcast that is just to this specific audience and it's just exclusively to that list? Are you going to be doing something that is maybe a video workshop? Maybe somebody loves consuming and learning in a different way. This is where we can also take learning styles into account. So packaging that up and adding all these different factors creates so much experience as they're walking through your brand. This is where I'll also say that lead magnets like quizzes. I've had a lot of people tell me quizzes don't work. I've also created a lot of quizzes for clients that have really high conversion rates because we know exactly who their audience is. We know that their audience more than likely was obsessed with the magazines where they're figuring out if they're a summer or a fall, and they want to know exactly what the right path is because maybe they're more of an analytical thinker. They need someone to tell them the next step because where they are in their current personal journey, they're overwhelmed. They need to know, if you do XYZ, this is the next step. So a quiz lead magnet may be perfect for them. So all this to say, it's very customized and very specific, but when you talk to that one specific person, you're going to create a binge-worthy experience for them that they're going to become extremely loyal to your brand and your business. So I hope that you use some of these in your social media strategy for this year when it comes to really standing out amongst everyone else when it comes to 2024. I feel like social media is still one of those most underutilized tools we as business owners have. If this video was helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, and make sure to subscribe. And if you're listening over on the podcast, please make sure to leave a review or any comments down below of episodes that you would love to see. I would love to create them for you, and I will see you next time.